So I've got this XY stage from a microscope salvaged from a dumpster at Monash, XY and rotation, and it's got a very interesting feed mechanism. So it's sprung against two plungers, the other one here is taken off, and there's a coarse feed and a fine feed, and each one of those divisions is 1 micron of movement. And how do you get such fine motion with such a coarse, human level amount of movement? And the answer is a differential screw. So here's one I prepared earlier. This end cap is essentially just for the user, so we can ignore that for a second, but that sits in there. So the main coarse feed is this. And you'll notice there's a slot here that'll come back to us in a second. The important part is this guy. This guy has a screw thread on the outside and on the inside, and they're a different pitch. And this piece is threaded, and this piece threads into it. And this is allowed to float just a little bit. And there's a little screw, a little step that sits in here. In fact, if I get the light right, you can see, yep. So you have a little screw that holds that and prevents this guy from rotating. And so as you turn this element, which if I had something small and pointy to hold that still, now you're not going to be able to see anything, but as I turn this, the difference between the outer pitch thread and the inner pitch thread on this is sliding that brass plug back and forward by just the tiniest amount. So on this guy, you can see it's got all this depth. This is halfway in. It comes all the way out and goes all the way into that notch. That entire range, and that's, like 50 turns or something, only moves it up and down this slot just a little bit. And since this guy is threaded into this, and there's also a spring that sort of holds it in a known location, you're essentially moving the reference for the plunger back and forward by, 0.5 millimeter, but with, 50 turns of the outer wheel. And it's all due to essentially the difference in pitch between this screw thread and the inner screw thread. So you might find that interesting.